Hello and welcome to this bonus Copic colouring video. If you have already done my workshop, you'll recognise this Lil Grimmy stamp by Sweet November Stamps. In this video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and show you how I coloured Little Grimmy here using Copic markers. So grab a beverage and settle in while I condense 1 hour's worth of colouring into 8 minutes and share some fantastic Copic tips with you. Let's get started. I like to warm up in a small area first, in this case, the scythe handle. Figuring out where shadows go is one of the fun parts of Copic colouring. It's about deciding where the light is coming from and therefore where the shadows and the highlights will fall. The most basic way to choose shadow areas is to place it below another part of the image. For example, the raven would be casting a shadow on the upper section of the handle, and the hood, hand and sleeve would be making those areas close to them quite dark. That said, remember that there are no highlight police, so you can put them wherever you like. Next, we're moving on to the skull and those tiny bony hands. Oh, and don't forget the neck. I've chosen the E40s to capture the look of bone. Colouring a large area like a face can be a bit daunting, and it's tempting to be timid with the shading. Remember, you can always add in more shadow, and it's when you intensify those deeper shadows that the highlights can really shine. In this case, that large hood is casting shadow around the top and sides of the face, and adding a little curved sweep of shadow above the nose gives some shape to the skull. I've also opted to add some deeper shadows above the eyes, which I hope gives the illusion of sunken eye sockets. The same goes for the area across the mouth. If you work on the image in the same order for each colour, you won't get to the end and realise you've forgotten to add shading to one hand and then have to get your E40 markers out again. Now let's add a bit of colour to the eyes. For a spooky glowing effect, I'm starting with R11 at the base and blending upwards with R12 and R14. To deepen the eye sockets, start with the darkest grey at the top in a very small area, then blend out with colours spaced 2 numbers apart in the same grey range. Bring the reds up from the base into the greys again and tweak that colour back and forth to give a great gradient, and you can decide how much colour you want at the base of the eye. A lot of this image is coloured with the toner greys, yet they all have a different look. For example, on the scythe blade, I'm working with the palest colours only, not going all the way up to T10. I'm going for a look of gleaming silver here, not black. The most important way to create effective shadows is to follow the curved lines of the stamped image. When you roll with those curves and keep those brush strokes smooth, you create the illusion of shine and dimension. After blending out my layers with the palest colour, I do like to go back in with the darkest colour just to reinforce those shadows. The raven is a whole other situation. Same toner grey markers, but starting with the darkest areas and working down to lighter colours. My usual Copic colouring method is to start light, then build up to the shadows. But the raven was always going to be dark, so why not set down those darker areas first and then build the highlights around them? I'm not using all shades of the toner greys as there simply isn't room nor the need for very pale shades here. And I couldn't resist repeating the red eyes to mirror Grimmy. They are very in sync. The cloak is the largest part of this image and therefore it takes the most time to colour. Colouring fabric can be a little daunting at first, but this stamp has fantastic lines that indicate draping, making it quite intuitive to know where there is shadow and where the light would be hitting those rounder sections of the fabric. Because there's so much space and I want a good blend, I am using every toner grey from T0 to T10. While I'm building these layers, let's talk about Copic maintenance. It's no secret that Copic markers are pricey, but with proper care, they should last you a lifetime. If you're finding that your Copic markers are drying out, it's likely to be one of two things. If you've been colouring a lot with a marker lately, then it likely needs re-inking. It's important to pick up re-inkers for your markers early, especially the palest shades of the colours you use most often. A full marker core prevents air pockets from forming. Air pockets can cause the resin binder to dry and cure, making it impossible to fully refill the marker later. The other cause could be that the airtight seal of the marker lids has been compromised. It could be as simple as the inside of the lids needing a clean up with some isopropyl alcohol and cotton swabs, or maybe the lid wasn't clicked into place sufficiently. These issues can be quickly and easily addressed. Alternatively, there may be a hairline crack inside your marker lid. This is becoming common with sketch markers, but I've never seen it in a Ciao marker yet. I've assessed hundreds of Copic markers, and pretty much every single time I find a crack, it's in the lid on the chisel nib end of the marker. If you Google this issue, there are a lot of theories, all hard to verify, including that this issue only happens in new markers because of a manufacturing issue. However, I've seen older new markers, and there are some older markers with the same problem, although it does seem more prevalent in new markers. I've been a Copic certified instructor for over a decade, and even I only recently learned that the first hint that a marker's airtight seal may be compromised is when your nib feels sticky. If the lid isn't airtight, the alcohol will evaporate, leaving colorant on the nib, and it will become tacky. If the issue is left unchecked, the colorant will dry out and the resin binder will dry and cure. And unfortunately, once this happens to the core of your marker, no amount of re-inking can revive it. It's important to assess inside your marker lids for hairline cracks. Use a flashlight and a strong pair of glasses or a magnifying glass. At the very least, bright natural light. So what do we do about this? The first recommendation I found online was that we should not be twisting sketch marker lids to remove them, and don't press them down on your desk to click them back into place. But hardly anyone uses the chisel nib, so how is it that those are the lids that were compromised? Now, luckily, I had the opportunity to pose this conundrum to an engineer who works with plastics, and he had an explanation as to what is likely happening here. When Copic lids are snapped on tight and not removed for tremendous amounts of time, that constant pressure that the lids are under can cause hairline cracks. The technical term for this is creep. So by removing the cap from the chisel nib end, even if you're not using it, you can relieve pressure on the lid and lessen the chance for crack forming. It serves a double benefit because if you have a super juicy Copic marker, having both caps removed will significantly decrease the chance of a big blob of ink ruining all the beautiful colouring you've already done. Now, having learned all of this new information in 2024, I've introduced 3 new protocols to my Copic colouring sessions. Number 1, I remove both lids from my markers at least once during a colouring session. Number 2, instead of placing markers back into their storage after colouring, I pop them into a container on my desk. I also keep a jeweler's scale with my re-inkers so I can refill markers and keep the core of each and every one full of ink so no resin pockets form. And number 3, I keep cotton swabs and isopropyl alcohol with my markers and give the insides of the lid a quick clean after re-inking before I put them away. It might sound like a lot, but I've invested quite a lot into a full set of markers and re-inkers, so for me, it's worth doing a little extra work after each colouring session to prolong the life of my markers. And it certainly beats doing maintenance on such a large collection all at once, which takes a huge amount of time. I'm talking weeks. Before we finish up, we'll give his shoes a very light shading of grey. They will be darkest where they're tucked under his cloak. And I do want to touch up the shadows in the scythe blade. Now that I can see it in comparison with the raven and the cloak, it just needs a little bit more oomph to make the highlights really shine. And there you have it, our spooky but sweet little Grim Reaper and his feathered friend, all dressed up for Halloween. I hope this behind the scenes look at my colouring process has given you some inspiration and tips to try in your own craft room. Remember to give your Copic markers the love and care that they deserve so that they can provide you with hassle-free colouring for many years to come. Happy colouring, and I will see you next time.